We're back with more on the Bordas and Bordas hotline of the Sports Call. Bob Pompiani, Gene Collier. We have tweets. You can tweet us at KDPomp, at Gene Collier. We have D. Under Mufflin tweets us and says, hey, this is Jordan from Uniontown. Okay, Jordan, thanks. The handle there threw me off. He said, I called to talk hoops because they're great. I told you to watch out for the Jazz. They're going to give OKC all they can handle, and they did tonight. Donovan Mitchell got hurt in game one, tight game. Well, tonight they beat them at Oklahoma City, just for those NBA fans out there. Gene, I want to talk about what's up next for the Penguins. Looking ahead, which is what we do here. There still is work to be done. We admit that. One more win is needed. However, when you look ahead, it is the winner of Columbus and Washington. And last night, Washington desperately needed a win. You didn't want to fall behind 3-0, and they got one in overtime on a goal by Lars Eller. But I don't see any of these teams on a speed level dealing with the Penguins. And to me, it's got to be a team with at least comparable speed, and I don't think either of those have it.
Yeah, I mean, they would have to win in some other fashion. They would have to get just incredible goaltending from somebody, and it's going to be hard to do with Matt Murray at the other end. But I'm not looking ahead. You still have to win 4 of these, and they haven't.
All right, let's go to the lines. Kicking it off today with Tony in the Hill District. Tony, you're up.
Hey, hi, Bob. Hi, Gene. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Yes, I was watching the Pirate game the other night, and there were so many empty seats in that stadium. It was ridiculous. I just want to know what you guys think about what do the Pirate organization have to do to gain the trust back for them to come back to the stadium? Because what do they have to do?
Well, first of all, the weather had something to do with that, although it still was, as you say, it was on what happened in this offseason and people not renewing their season tickets. I think they're going to see a tremendous down arrow when it comes to attendance. They have years. So, Gene, it's going to take, winning deeper into the season. It's going to take an opportunity maybe at the trade deadline, if you are in contention, to show them you're serious about winning. Things of this nature. I don't think it's going to just last for a month and change. It's going to linger.
Yeah, I think it will. And we've said all along, I mean, attendance has dropped and TV ratings have dropped, really starting with the trade of Neil Walker. But it's mostly a weather thing so far this season. I mean, I left my house today at noon. I live 8 miles from the stadium. I drove into the parking garage of the stadium without really even hitting the brake. Nobody was going to that game. I walked out of the parking garage toward the stadium. I barely saw anybody. The announced attendance was 8,900. Near that many people in the place, but I think it's mostly been weather so far. It'll be interesting to see when the weather warms up if it'll change at all. But as to what they can do, they're doing it. They're 12-6. I mean, they've been a surprise.
They are 12-6, and they won today 10-2.
Right.
The other, of course, major story we spent all afternoon and morning talking about the passing of Bruno Sammartino, right, one of the true legends of not only the wrestling game but also just a champion in life, and he's done so many great things, and a guy who represented Pittsburgh everywhere he went. He was a global icon, Gene, not just here in Pittsburgh, and he's been suffering lately. We know, talked to his good friend Larry Richert, and Larry has spent so much time with him traveling. They're going to do a documentary on his trip back to Italy, where he dedicated things to his mother, who it's a tremendous story, and I'm sure that it's going to get a lot of viewership when it does come out. Looking forward to it. But your thoughts on the passing of Bruno Sammartino?
Yeah, Bruno was just such a genuine gentleman. He, he was someone who sold out Madison Square Garden something like 188 times. And yet when you were with him, he felt like he was excited to be with you. He had tremendous humility and tremendous humanity. He's someone who will really be missed. The world is definitely not as good a place without Bruno.
That's well put, and I know you've written columns about him, and I think everyone has gotten to meet him and know him, and you're right, when you're in his company, just because he's Bruno Sammartino, he never acted like he was better than anyone in the room, and that's what set him apart. He would be more interested in talking about your life than his.
Yep. Such a gracious
he did have some great matches with George the Animal Steele, and things that have happened in his career, which were iconic. All right, let's go out to line 4, and that would be Bob in Indiana. What's up, Bob? How are you?
Hey, thanks for taking my call, Bob. You touched on what I was calling about. My friend sent me a text today about the passing of Bruno. And he was one of those guys that a lot of the athletes nowadays should just look to him. They could only wish to walk in his shadow. The respect that people had for him, the admiration, and just the the way that he was with people. He never thought he was better than anybody. He just loved his family, his love of his mother, love of people in general, and love of life. And he, took every day. He never swayed from his morals of, doing something that somebody wanted for $1 or whatever. He stuck by what he thought was right. And, not money controls people, the players now. It's always about the dollar. But to him, it was his morals and his lifestyle, and it was all about his mother, too, that got him to that. And he always looked up to her and said it was her that made him the person he was. That he's just one of the few people that are around that you can really look up to and admire.
Thanks. Very well said,
Very well
Bob.
said.
Appreciate that. And his mother was his hero, of course. She lived till, I think, 97 after going through everything they went through over there with the German invasion at the time, and how she had to protect her kids and other kids, and then brought them over here. And I mean, I can't even imagine what that would be like as someone from another country, not speaking English, coming to this country and trying to find a better life. And turns out that not only did her son find a better life, found something that made him famous all around the world.
He's a great story. I can't wait to see Larry's film and the film they've been working on, because he has an incredible story. He really does.
Yeah, it really is. All right, Mitty in McCandless. What's up, Mitty? How you doing?
Hey, Gene. Hey, Bob. Thanks for taking my call. First off, kudos to how you handle this talk show. You guys do a very professional job.
Thanks, Mitty. Appreciate it.
Eugene is amazing. But in reference to Sidney Crosby breaking the franchise Penguins record, did you honestly ever think you lived to see the day where Mario Lemieux takes a back seat to Sidney Crosby as the greatest Penguin of all time?
Well, I'm not ready to go there yet. I understand. Listen, when it comes to, I've always said, when you're having discussions about greatness, there are different eras, different times, different kinds of players, different people, whatever. I'm not ready to look at that any other way other than Lemieux is still the best player I ever saw. Like, Sidney Crosby has done things that, in his own way, that's different than Mario. You know what I mean, Gene? Mario was a tremendous artist out there, with a big guy who can do so many different things athletically, offensively, stick handle, and he missed a lot of time. I think if you add the time missed on to what would have been, it's a pretty impressive number.
Well, Mario could do things no other player could do. He had such range. I wrote a column one time comparing him to Franz Liszt, the composer and pianist. Franz Liszt wrote music that no one else could play because his hands were so big. Lemieux made plays that nobody else could make. And he had Sidney Crosby-like vision and patience in the play. There was no player quite like him. Sidney Crosby is a great player, but in my view, he's not Mario Lemieux.
No, I agree, but he is. When we look back at some of the, I think we've all been spoiled in this town to watch this much talent time after time over decades now. And I think you need to remember that when you watch it. And some nights it may not be there on a regular season, but just still appreciate what you've seen. And this is the first time, by the way, Franz Liszt has made this program. And Gene, thank you.
Not the last. We're going to mention
not the last.
Just about
I think
every
people,
night.
you learn something new every day, and you will when you listen to Gene. Let's go to Rich in the West End. Hey, Rich, how you doing?
Hey, man, how you doing, Bob?
Hi, Rich.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about, the Penguins. It's still early and stuff, but, that was some good goaltending tonight. Real good. I called it with a friend. It wasn't even out the second period. I said, it's going to be a shutout. I was right, man. He's pretty good. So if we get deep in the we will. So you think Boston will give us a problem?
There are teams that can give them problems. It depends on how the things go and, what opportunities you take advantage of and miss. I think the Penguins, when they play the way they're capable of and strike on the power play and special teams, they're hard to beat. But I also can say the same about Tampa. I watched Tampa tonight, Gene, against New Jersey. It was a physical game. They showed me a side of them I didn't think they had, including Nikita Kucherov, who was throwing himself all over the place physically.
Right.
So, they're talented. It would be a great series, I think, Pittsburgh-Tampa Bay in the Eastern Conference Final. But again, a lot of work to be done before that.
Yeah, sure. And Pittsburgh-Boston would be a good series, too. But I've seen too much hockey to get to the next round. The Penguins have not won 4 games yet.
All right, we're due for a break. We'll take it. Come back with more. Interesting tweet here from Jason Mackey, your colleague at the Post-Gazette. He says, Sidney Crosby, 5 goals, 9 points so far in the series. Couturier, Giroux, Simmons, Voracek, Konechny combined 2 goals, 8 points. And if you took Couturier out of there, you'd have not much, because Giroux hasn't done much at all.
Points.
In the words of Michael Terrian, men versus boys. That's what we saw tonight. We'll be back with more right after this on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.